Stand by that. I think you're going to have a massive buying opportunity here. We may have already seen it in the 9,000, so yeah, I might be trying to be too cute with this, but there's too much money coming into this market. You're going to have an opportunity to have a generational buy in Bitcoin sometime, I would say in the next 6 months.
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So it's Friday, it's the weekend, we made it, but hold on just 1 second. Before we start celebrating what is happening right now, Bitcoin is down over 11.5%. We are sitting below $7,000. Ethereum getting hit extremely hard, down 15%. Essentially, you can see right here, we dipped down to about the $6,913 level. We had a small bounce back up to $7,153, but currently, as we speak, we are trying to push down even lower on the price. So, yeah. This price could be very different by the time you see this video today, but I do want to talk about the fact that we are sitting literally right here on the line of this, whatever you want to call it, legacy or historical parabolic advance, trend line, whatever it is, and it looks like we are trying to breach this. Now, if Bitcoin does fall below this, we could actually have some difficult times ahead. We're going to go over that. I do want to talk about that. I also want to discuss how, a lot of people have been talking about, the Bakkt manipulation and CME futures. Now, we have talked about that a lot on this channel, but for those of you who might be new, we will revisit that today. We might even see another dump today live on the channel if this thing continues. Wow. Also, I do want to talk about how Mark Dow, who is the trader that shorted Bitcoin all the way from the top to the bottom, he actually has some pretty good advice on what to look for the next sort of Bitcoin bottom or Bitcoin rally. I do want to go into that today if that sounds good to you. We also had some news that came out of China. Once again, not exactly the greatest news. And finally, I want to talk about the Binance raid and how basically it didn't actually happen. So if that sounds good to you, you know what to do. Also, if you're not subscribed to the Crypto Zombie channel, we do this every single day, literally bull market, bear market, when the market is bleeding. Doesn't matter, guys, because we see the long-term vision. And also for anyone who is new, every Monday, we do give away a Ledger Nano S hardware wallet to keep your cryptos safe. All you got to do is drop a comment on any video throughout the course of the week. So obviously, this is already outdated. Bitcoin is falling lower. Really, nothing to go over today except for some crazy pumps on these very strange 72. Molecular Future did $72 million in volume. What? Where is this even at? I just have to look at this for myself, guys. OKX? Okay, let me know if you guys know about that. But essentially, yes, the shorts are heavy. 52% has been relatively negative for the past 4 hours. And I'm just going to keep this here because it just keeps becoming more true by the day. But that being said, let's dive in seriously. Let's have a look at what's going on. So essentially, we had a very critical level that I spoke about 2 days ago. We were basically sitting right on the 200 daily on the futures. Not only were we sitting there, but we also had the VPVR at its absolute strongest volume, and we fell. Once we lost both of these, we just dumped and dumped and dumped, and you could see CME's futures came down to about 6,916. Now, keep in mind, there is still a gap all the way up there at that green line at around 11,790 something. But let's be honest, we have a long time to go before we start talking about filling gaps all the way up around the $11,000 levels. Now, once again, going back to Angelo BTC, who we did mention. Now, this guy, they call him the Whale Whisperer. He's a semi-retired cryptocurrency trader. You could see on August 28th, he said, got a message from a friend that trades with serious size. He said, long capitulation once we break 8K. I tend to believe him. And I remember when we put that video out, it literally happened within like an hour of him putting that tweet out. And then again on October 5th, he said patiently waiting for 6K Bitcoin levels, where I will add long term. He's not saying that it's going to go below that. He's saying he's waiting to add. And yeah, this guy has a lot of whale friends. And now I'm starting to wonder if he really seriously did know something that the rest of us didn't. Now you can see right here, Bitcoin is pushing down to about the 6.8 level. So we actually are dumping live right now. Obviously, I said if we were to get below this, if we fell into the zone, we would fall lower. And of course, we did breach the 6.958 level. Unfortunately, the next level of support is that 6.578 level, which is why we said yesterday, could we potentially see a 6.5K Bitcoin? Now, I don't know necessarily if we will today, Smart money may not go to the level that everyone's waiting for. If everyone's expecting a 6.5K, well, maybe they'll start buying up now or start buying up just before, potentially, right? That could be the case. Having a look right here, though, you will see that, actually, this is happening live. This literally just happened live, guys. You can't even make this up. We literally just wicked to the absolute bottom, okay, of this descending wedge, and it looks like we now are having a bit of a bounce back off of that. So was that the potential bottom? Was that what we're looking for? Obviously I could put this video out and we could be lower, but it would make sense if we did get stomped out right there, right? Now, obviously Peter Schiff is taking his, he's enjoying this moment clearly because he hates Bitcoin. He says Bitcoin is nearing the neckline of the head and shoulders, et cetera, which we pointed out before the October 25th 40% pump. The right shoulder is now shrugged and the neckline slanted, yada, yada, yada. But essentially he's saying we're going to dump to $1,000, to which Crypto Bull replied, okay, boomer. Now, let's be honest with you. Do you guys really think we're going to dump to $1,000? No, I definitely don't think we're going to dump to $1,000. That's absolutely ridiculous. But Crypto Bull did actually take the time to put out this chart of basically all the times that Peter Schiff bet against Bitcoin. And you can see right here, I don't even know what these levels are. This has to be incredibly low levels. This was back in 2013, November. Thinking about buying Bitcoin instead of precious metal? Think again. Peter Schiff explains why. December 16th of 2014, Bitcoin selling off during the Russian ruble crisis. Right here, when Bitcoin started having a little bit of struggle around the $4,000 level, he said it looks like the support has broken and now it's a bloodbath. He also said down here at the actual bottom, he said don't make the mistake of thinking that buying Bitcoin below $3,800 is a bargain just because the price is better than 80%. So basically, if you follow this guy, he's pretty much wrong every time. Now, recently, maybe he is right a little bit with this dump that's happening right now, but even a broken clock is right 2 times a day, right, guys? So this is the thing. We are essentially, and I did say this yesterday, guys, we could even be in just a gigantic bull pennant flag. Actually, it's a flag, right? So I haven't changed these lines. You could check yesterday's video the day before. So currently we are wicking below this as well. So it does kind of make sense that this sort of structure is holding itself, right? We were looking at the triangle, but essentially if you go way back to when we first started plotting this, we started with a flag. Now, some people were laughing saying, that's too big. It's drooping halfway down the flagpole. Maybe, possibly, but time will tell whether or not that pattern actually plays out. Now, what's interesting is we did stop both times at the 100 weekly and then the 50 weekly. We had a little bit of a hesitation before we finally did fall through. Now, I am still expecting a potential, golden cross to come out of this, but what does that mean for the price? Well, here's the situation, guys. We are essentially currently right now, in fact, we wicked below it, but right now, as we speak, we are sitting on this, whatever you want to call it, historic trend line, legacy trend line, parabolic advance, lots of different names for it. But essentially, this is when we start to have this nice, upwards trajectory where every time Bitcoin dumped, it put in a nice sort of ladder step, right? We didn't go any lower. And then we had that massive blast off. And currently, that is where we are sitting. Now, if we fall below this, that basically eradicates everything that we've done. And yeah, it basically puts Bitcoin exactly back to where we started before we even had that crazy dump. And that would definitely be one of the craziest overall market patterns I've probably ever seen in my entire life. But we will have to see what the bears essentially have left, if they actually can, if they have any selling pressure left, right? Now, Mark Dow, we've spoken about this guy. Some people have opinions about him. He's not the friendliest guy necessarily when it comes to the price of Bitcoin, but he did have an amazing short. He didn't short Bitcoin exactly from 20K, but he did it from from 16K, and then I think he closed 3 days after the bottom, so you can't deny that was a great call. Well, he says that he's looking for 2 specific things to pay attention to when looking for the next basically Bitcoin blast off. He says building a base and also overhead resistance. Now, he does say an example of building a base after a large decline is what we saw from December 2018 until March 2019. In fact, it was this base with the requisite pattern of progressively higher lows and a quieting down tightening up of the price action that said turned him technically bullish. And he's basically just talking about this, little dip where we just kind of went sideways for a while. He says, I can't get bullish on a chart until I see some kind of base built and sense that the technical psychological damage has been repaired, even if I were fundamentally bullish of the underlying asset. So essentially, you do want to look for something like a bottoming out like this, which is why potentially, if Bitcoin, essentially does, sort of stay here, we may not have that blast off. We might actually just ride on this green line, maybe even all the way out to February 20th. It could be one of the most boring couple of months, even leading up to the halving in May of next year. Now, like I said, I could put this video out. We could dump all the way down to 6K. We could pump all the way up to 10. No one really knows. No one was expecting this pump right here. But that being said, guys, I just do want to say that it is a possibility that if we don't have an immediate spring back, an immediate bounce back, things could get really boring for Bitcoin. However, it would be an amazing opportunity to dollar cost average if that is your strategy moving forward, right? So having a look right here, yeah, we're already kind of wicking back up. You could see down here. But once again, this wick was the little support we had, and now that's becoming the resistance. And the problem is every time we've had these dumps, all of these supports are becoming resistance. Resistance here, resistance here, resistance here. It's just a lot of resistance to break above, guys. So will the bulls actually have the power to be able to push this thing back up? Well, like I said, we could be looking for a little bit of that sideways accumulation. Now, if we actually check this out real quick, give it a quick refresh, 738 over here at CME futures. So, it's kind of high for this time of day. It's pretty early in the morning. Usually these are only around 200. So there's a lot of trading going on right now with the futures. And that is exactly what I want to talk about, because you can see Bakkt parent firm ICE brings Bitcoin cash settled futures to Singapore. Now, wasn't the whole thing about Bakkt that they were supposed to be physically settled, and now they're doing the old switcheroo on us? So we're going to talk about the implications of this. The move was announced just as the Singapore Monetary Authority announced its readiness to regulate crypto trading, opening a research period until December 20th. They say our new cash settled futures contract will offer investors in Asia and around the world a convenient, capital efficient way to gain or hedge exposure in Bitcoin markets. After a period of discussion and approval, the ICE Singapore will list the futures on December 9th. The scheduled day arrives just one day after Bakkt launches its options in the US market. So we should be celebrating, right? I'm not too sure about that, guys, because number one, the thing that was so attractive about Bakkt was that the futures were to be settled physically, which means you actually had to hold Bitcoin, which theoretically should increase the demand for it, right? But now if we're moving over to a cash settled Bitcoin, then you don't actually need any exposure to Bitcoin. You never have to buy any Bitcoin. It doesn't require any Bitcoin to be held, right? So that creates a lot of paper Bitcoin and would not be good. You guys saw what it did with gold. Now, hear me out here really quick. You will remember that there was this research published by the San Francisco Federal Reserve, and this came out on May 7th, and they said Bitcoin's drop in value from its 2017 peak of around 19,500 was tied directly to the list of futures contracts tied to the cryptocurrency's value. And just to reiterate, this article that came out over here on CoinDesk, this is essentially the Trump administration basically saying that, yes, they did pop the bubble. Also, I'm not sure that I like the layout of this new CoinDesk. Why is all the writing behind me? Now I feel like I should be over on that side. Let me just flip. All right, much better. So you can see one of the untold stories of the past few years is that the CFTC, the Treasury, the SEC, and the National Economic Council director at the time, Gary Cohn, believed that the launch of Bitcoin futures would have the impact of popping the Bitcoin bubble. And it worked. Giancarlo elaborated further, saying that Bitcoin's dramatic price run-up in the 2017 bubble was the first major bubble following the 2008 financial crisis. That's why the Trump administration acted in concert to address in a pro-markets manner. So, yes, guys, this was to tame the beast. Bitcoin was getting out of control. It was considered to be a threat, and they did introduce these instruments in hopes of suppressing the price, and essentially it worked. Now, we've talked about this on the channel before. I have noticed a lot of people circulating news about this again, maybe just because the price is down, people are looking for answers, right? But this is nothing new, guys. This is what these guys are doing. But essentially, Bitcoin drops to 7,000. It's actually lower than that. And as China vows to dispose of local exchanges. Now, the fact that China FUD, even still has an impact on Bitcoin is actually quite crazy when you really think about it. But you can see right here, Dovey Wan. Now, she was the one that had the other news that turned out to be a repeat of stuff that happened in 2017. So take all China news with a grain of salt, guys. But this is what Dovey Wan said. She speaks Chinese, so we're going to take it from her. She shared the news that they're going around another crypto witch hunt, as they're wording it. Now it's tightening bolts on any providers of crypto transactions to local users, including crypto exchanges headquartered abroad. So now, if you're a Chinese citizen and you're using a US exchange or some other exchange, they're going to come after them as well, apparently. So as you guys know, back in September of 2017, China did have a ban on ICOs and later extended it towards crypto exchanges itself, which is why you saw so many of these guys moving to safe haven places like Malta. Even Binance moved to Malta as well. So yes, obviously IEOs, ICOs, SCOs are still deemed illegal. This time, the regulatory measures will even touch crypto exchanges overseas. And finally, she has warned crypto investors who were perhaps misled by President Xi's blockchain positive. She just wants to remind everybody that, yes, there is a difference between blockchain and cryptocurrencies. You can use blockchain technology. You don't have to have a token. You don't have to speculate on it. You can just use blockchain technology, right? It's crypto that these guys are really having the problem with, right? There's one other thing I also wanted to mention, actually two things. I'm not going to go into this article. You do hear a lot of people saying, well, the problem is no one uses Bitcoin. No one wants to spend it. It's too volatile. Well, I do agree with that. Also, Gersham's law, bad money drives out good. If you have the option of spending, a paper bill or a Bitcoin, you're probably going to spend the paper because the paper has less value. But also, this article kind of begs the question, maybe people are just so confused about taxes that they just don't even want to spend the Bitcoin because they don't want to deal with the tax ramifications, right? Not going to go into this article, but that is one possibility. Also, you are seeing some companies are starting to lay off workers. Now, is this because of the fact that we're having this slump? Chainalysis, okay, they are basically laying off 20% of their workforce. Headcount now dropped to 155 after laying off 39. The company's resources are now set to be used on its path to profitability. Now, they're saying that the move comes amid a plethora of good news for blockchain analysis firms. So they're saying that they're not laying people off because of the market. They're just laying it off because, they just want to be more productive, I guess. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that. Will we be seeing more companies laying people off again? And finally, a Binance spokesperson has refuted the media reports that Chinese police had raided and subsequently shut down the exchange's Shanghai office. Kind of feels like what happened when the Tron office got raided. So basically, if you want the raiding a cryptocurrency exchange headquarters starter kit, all you got to do is find an empty abandoned building, throw up a couple Binance stickers, and just film it. Basically, it's being raided, right? The Binance team is a global movement consisting of people working in a decentralized manner where they are the world. Binance has no fixed offices in Shanghai, according to the spokesperson. So it makes no sense that police raided an office and shut it down if the office didn't even exist. So that is that moving forward. But the hash rate is still basically holding strong. We do have to see if we have that curve over today, but having a look, what are we doing? It looks like we did actually wick back up to the level. So is the 6.9 level going to be the support? Well, yesterday's video, we did talk about the possibility of a 6.5K Bitcoin. Like I said, maybe some savvy investors out there, they're not going to let it go. The whales aren't going to push it down. They're not going to manipulate it to that price, but we will have to see moving forward if we do fall below the level that we are sitting at right now, essentially, which is this trend, then yeah, like I said, things could get different and we might have to change our tune on the channel. But will I be going anywhere? Absolutely not, guys. Anytime Bitcoin drops to prices like this, it's just more of an opportunity to accumulate. My vision for Bitcoin is so much more long-term than just, what happens today or tomorrow or next year. I really do believe that this will be the greatest store of value. It actually is the greatest store of value of all time. I mean, guys, do I have to bust out the logarithmic chart? Don't make me do it, guys. Don't make me do it. Yeah. We're doing just fine, guys. We're doing just fine. So that being said, thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. I understand that times like this can be difficult. If you've been around since 2017 and 2018, probably this isn't anything to you. If you did get in this year, well, it's a learning experience, but we all have to go through it. We all have to have these crazy 50% drops right before we have the next sort of, blast off. Will we have the blast off? I am thinking maybe it's more of sort of a nice sideways climb, but you never know, guys. It is Bitcoin, and October 25th could happen again just like that. That being said, thank you so much for coming back to the channel. If you enjoy this content, definitely get subscribed. Don't forget to turn the bell notification on sometime.